Hello and welcome to the fourth and final week of the Flying Start Creative Writing course. This is the week in which you put into practice all the bits and pieces that you've picked up over the previous 3 weeks and put together your own little piece of writing, a short story. Sounds taxing, but don't panic. It's not going to be something that you're going to be given marks out of 10 for. There's going to be no end of term reports or anything like this. This is purely an attempt to bring together everything that we've looked at so far with a view to launching you out into a successful writing career in the future. How do you write a short story? Well, again, as I've been saying all the way through this, there are no hard and fast rules. What's usually quite a good idea though is to place your characters in a story where something is happening. That sounds a bit obvious. It's better though to have some central dynamic to your story which gets the reader involved fairly early on and can take them through to the end. The something that's happening tends in the most arresting stories to be something rather kind of negative. There's a phrase, happiness writes white, which is meant to say that when things are good there's really not that much you can say about them. When someone is in crisis, if they've had a terrible blow that's come to them in their lives, or if they've driven off into the middle of the night and broken down, and etc, etc, there are all kinds of ways in which extremities can be provoked. So Piers Paul Reed, one of my favourite authors, once made a joke of it. One of his characters in his novel said, in a novel of his, said, "Is that the function of all writing? Processing the raw material of human agony into digestible entertainment for airline passengers and reading groups." That may be putting it a little too cynically, but it does tend to be the case that when people are up against it, it makes for quite good reading. So have a go at a short story. It's not really a practice for a novel, a short story. Novel and short story are very different forms, and mastering the short story doesn't automatically mean that then you can go in and write a full belt novel. But you have the advantage of not having to lock yourself away for a year or 18 months in order to complete it, and you can learn all kinds of tricks of the trade just by putting your words on the page, up to 1,000 words or so, which is the limit that I've suggested for this story. If you want to go beyond that, by all means do, but if you could just post 1,000 words, that would be great, and I can respond to that. In the course notes this week, I've given you a few tips on basic things, basic tips, but do feel completely free to disregard them if they don't fit your bill. I suggest you don't need that many characters in a story that is only going to last for 1,000 words. Possibly hone in, as I've said, on an incident or a particular point in time. That can be very effective in a short story. But the choice is yours. I've included in the course notes a longer extract from another work, published work, for you to take a look at, just to see how in 400 or so words a person can get across an enormous amount of information. That's pretty well it, really. It's a good idea to be thinking in the future of short story competitions. It's a good way to hone your skills. There are hundreds each year that you can go in for. You might not win, you might, but it's good to get the feedback. It's good to have people reading your stuff, and as I said before, knowing that people are going to read your stuff, which will make you write in a different way. I do hope that you've got a lot out of these 4 weeks, and that it's given you some kind of incentive to carry on, that in a way you'll become addicted to writing. You won't be able to not write, and all I can say now is all the very best with writing your story. I look forward to reading them, and all the best with your writing in future. Thanks very much.